The Bray Road Investigation. A cryptozoologist's account. Brendan Winchester, amateur cryptozoologist. Field report. Beast of Bray Road. Elkhorn, Wisconsin. October 2031. Prologue. How hard could it be? Let me start by saying I messed up. Completely, catastrophically messed up. This isn't one of those stories where the narrator learns a valuable lesson and everything works out fine. This is the story of how my arrogance and stupidity got my best friend mauled by something that shouldn't exist, and how I have to live with that for the rest of my life. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Brendan Winchester. I'm 23, recently graduated from Northwestern with a degree in anthropology that my parents paid for and I barely earned. I come from money, old money, the kind where you don't really have to work if you don't want to, where finding yourself is a legitimate career path. I've always been into cryptids. Not in a serious scientific way, more like I thought they were cool. I watched every episode of those cryptid hunting shows, followed investigators on YouTube, read about the Mothman and Bigfoot and all the classic cases. I thought it looked exciting, adventurous, like the perfect combination of mystery and outdoors exploration. What I didn't understand, what I was too stupid and arrogant to understand, was that there's a massive difference between watching cryptid investigations on TV and actually conducting them. That real cryptozoologists like Marion and Michael Thatcher spend years learning their craft, developing ethics, understanding that these aren't entertainment. These are potentially dangerous situations involving real creatures and real consequences. I thought I could skip all that boring stuff and jump straight to the fun part. I was so fracking wrong. Day 1, the plan. It started in September 2031. I'd been out of college for 3 months, nominally looking for work, but really just living off my trust fund and trying to figure out what to do with my life. My friend Lana Morgan, we'd been friends since sophomore year, was in a similar situation, working a temp job she hated while trying to figure out her next move. We were at a bar in Chicago, probably on our 4th round, when I brought up the Beast of Bray Road. It's in Wisconsin, like 2 hours from here, I said, showing her articles on my phone. This thing has been seen for decades. People report a wolf-like creature that walks on 2 legs, attacks cars, scares the shit out of everyone. It's perfect for a first investigation. First investigation? Lana raised an eyebrow. Since when are you a cryptid investigator? Since now. Come on, Lana, we're young, we're bored, we have time and resources. Why not go look for something weird? It'll be an adventure, like a road trip, but with a purpose. Or we could just do a normal road trip without potentially getting eaten by a werewolf. It's not a werewolf. It's probably just a misidentified bear or a large dog. But even if it is something weird, how dangerous can it really be? We'll be careful, we'll stay in the car, we'll just drive around some rural roads at night and see if we spot anything. Zero risk, maximum adventure. Famous last words. Lana was skeptical, but I can be persuasive when I want to be. I promised it would be safe, that we'd be smart about it, that it would just be a fun weekend. I showed her my new equipment, expensive camera with night vision capability, audio recording gear, a laptop for analysis. I'd spent about $5,000 on gear without really understanding how to use any of it. You're serious about this, she said. I am, and it'll be fun. When was the last time we did something actually exciting? She thought about it, then sighed. Fine. 1 weekend. But if this gets weird or dangerous, we're out. Deal? Deal. Trust me, Lana. This is going to be great. Day 2. Arrival in Elkhorn. We drove to Elkhorn, Wisconsin on a Friday afternoon in early October. The town is small, population around 10,000, and it's famous for exactly one thing: the Beast of Bray Road. The creature was first reported in the late 1980s and early 1990s, when multiple witnesses described seeing a wolf-like creature walking on 2 legs along rural roads near Elkhorn. The reports were consistent enough that they got media attention and became part of local folklore. What I'd learned from my extensive research, which consisted of reading Wikipedia and watching YouTube videos, was that the sightings had continued sporadically over the decades. People still reported seeing something strange on the back roads, especially around Bray Road itself. I'd found exactly one video from a paranormal investigation team that claimed they'd captured footage of something, but it was so dark and grainy it could have been anything. I was convinced we could do better, we had better equipment, and I had a trust fund to fund unlimited attempts if necessary. We checked into a motel in Elkhorn. The woman at the desk, seeing our age and the equipment I was carrying, asked, "You kids hear about the beast?" "We are," I said proudly. "We're investigating the phenomenon." She looked at me like I was an idiot. "You and every other YouTuber with a camera. Word of advice? Stay in your car. Don't get out and wander around. People have been hurt." "Hurt how?" Lana asked, suddenly interested. "Attacked. Chased. One guy crashed his car trying to get away from something. Another woman said something tried to break her window. Could be teenagers playing pranks, could be actual dangerous wildlife, could be something else. Either way, it's not safe to be wandering around alone at night." "We'll be careful," I assured her. "We're just here to observe, not to provoke anything." She shrugged. "Your funeral. That should have been our first warning." Looking back, there were so many warnings we ignored. Day 3, the research. I'd planned this trip with what I thought was proper preparation. I'd researched online, I'd mapped the location where most sightings occurred, I'd prepared our equipment. What I hadn't done was talk to actual locals, consult with experienced researchers, or develop any kind of safety protocol beyond stay in the car. Lana wanted to spend Saturday talking to people who'd seen the beast. I thought that was boring. I wanted to get out there and see it ourselves. But she insisted, so we spent the day at local businesses asking if anyone had encountered the creature. The coffee shop owner told us about his brother, who'd seen something crossing the road in 1995. Big as a bear, but shaped wrong. Walking on its hind legs like a man. Scared him so bad he doesn't drive that road anymore. A gas station attendant mentioned her cousin, who'd been chased by something while jogging at dusk. She said it followed her for maybe a quarter mile, staying just at the edge of the tree line. She could hear it breathing, hear it moving through the brush. She got to her car and got out of there. Never jogged that route again. A farmer told us about finding livestock killed in ways that didn't match normal predators. Coyotes, they eat what they kill. Bears, they tear things apart, but it looks like bear damage. This was different, precise, almost surgical. And whatever did it was strong. We're talking about a full-grown sheep carried off like it weighed nothing. Every story made it sound more dangerous, more real. Lana was getting increasingly nervous. I was getting increasingly excited. "This is perfect," I said as we drove back to the motel. Multiple credible witnesses, consistent descriptions, ongoing activity. We're definitely going to see something. Brendan, everyone we talked to was scared. Not excited, not thrilled, scared. Maybe we should reconsider this. Scared because they didn't understand what they were seeing. We're approaching this scientifically, with equipment and documentation. We'll be fine. God, I was such an arrogant asshole. Day 4, the first night. Saturday night, we drove out to Bray Road around 10 p.m. I'd planned our route carefully, by which I mean I'd looked at Google Maps for 10 minutes. We drive slowly along the rural roads where sightings were most common, watching for anything unusual. "What exactly are we looking for?" Lana asked as we turned onto Bray Road itself. Movement in the trees, eyes reflecting our headlights, anything that seems out of place. And if we see something, we stop, I set up the camera, we document it from inside the car. And we stay in the car the entire time, right? Absolutely. I'm not stupid, Lana. The road was dark, narrow, bordered by thick woods and occasional farmland. It was exactly the kind of place where you'd expect something weird to happen. Isolated, rural, the kind of darkness city kids like us never really experience. We drove for 2 hours, seeing nothing but the occasional deer and one very confused raccoon. By midnight, Lana was ready to call it a night. "This is boring," she said. "And kind of creepy, but mostly boring. Can we go back? One more pass. Come on, we drove all the way out here. One more loop." She sighed but agreed. We turned around and started back along the same roads. That's when we saw it. Something crossing the road ahead of us, caught in our headlights for maybe 3 seconds. Large, dark, moving on 2 legs with a gait that was distinctly not human and not quite animal. Then it was gone, disappearing into the trees on the other side of the road. "Did you see that?" I was nearly shouting. Lana, did you fracking see that? I saw something. I don't know what. That was it. That was the beast. Holy shit, we actually saw it. My hands were shaking with adrenaline. This was real. We'd actually encountered something unknown. Something that wasn't supposed to exist. All those stories, all that research, it was real. We need to go back, Lana said. Brendan, we saw something, we can report it, mission accomplished. Let's go back to the motel. Are you kidding? We need to get footage. We need documentation. This is huge. We saw it for 3 seconds in the dark. We're not going to get better footage tonight. Let's come back tomorrow with a plan. But I was already turning the car around, already planning how we'd set up to capture it on camera. The old advice about staying in the car, about not provoking anything, about being cautious. All of that evaporated in my excitement. This was going to make us famous. This was going to be incredible. This was the worst decision of my life. Day 5, the setup. Sunday morning, I was like a kid on Christmas. We'd seen something, and now we were going to document it properly. I spent the morning setting up equipment, planning our approach, ignoring Lana's increasing reluctance. Brendan, I've been reading about the beast while you were playing with cameras. The accounts say it's aggressive. Multiple people have reported being chased, having their cars attacked. One report mentions someone getting scratched through their car window. Those are probably exaggerations. People see something weird, they panic, they interpret normal behavior as aggressive. Or maybe it's actually aggressive and we should take that seriously. We will be serious. We'll be careful. But Lana, we're this close to documenting something unknown. We can't back out now. I convinced her, or more accurately, I wore down her resistance. She trusted me, and I used that trust to override her completely legitimate concerns. That night, we returned to Bray Road with a new plan. We'd park in a spot with good visibility, set up cameras both inside and outside the car, and wait. If the beast appeared, we'd have multiple angles, clear footage, definitive documentation. We're staying in the car, right? Lana asked for probably the 10th time. Mostly. I might need to adjust the external camera if we see something. But yeah, we're staying safe. We set up around 9 p.m. I positioned one camera on the car's hood, pointing toward the road and tree line. Another camera was inside the car, filming through the windshield. My expensive night vision camera was ready in my hands. Lana had her phone, though she pointed out that phone cameras are useless in the dark. For 3 hours, nothing happened. We talked, joked, tried to stay alert despite the boredom. Around midnight, Lana fell asleep in the passenger seat. That's when I heard it. Something in the woods moving through the underbrush. Not a deer. The sound was wrong. Too heavy, too deliberate. I grabbed my night vision camera and scanned the tree line, and I saw it, standing maybe 30 yards into the trees, partially visible between the trunks. It was huge, easily 7 feet tall, maybe more. The body was covered in dark fur, the proportions wrong for any animal I knew. And it was standing upright, watching our car. This was it. This was the shot. But the angle was bad. Too many trees in the way. If I could just get a little closer, get a clearer view, I should have woken Lana. I should have stayed in the car. I should have been happy with the footage I could get from where I was. Instead, I quietly opened my door and stepped out. Day 5, the attack. The moment my feet hit the ground, the creature moved. Not away, toward us. Toward me. Fast, much faster than something that size should be able to move through dense woods. I stumbled backward, reaching for the car door, and that's when Lana woke up. Brendan? What are you? Oh my God. She could see it too now. It had reached the edge of the tree line, was standing at the boundary between forest and road. In the glow of our car's headlights, I got a clear look at it for the first time. It was massive, 7.5, maybe 8 feet tall, built like nothing I'd ever seen. Powerful shoulders, long arms, digitigrade legs that looked canine but wrong. The head was wolf-like but too large, too elongated. And the eyes, yellow-green in the headlights, intelligent and predatory. Get in the car. Lana was screaming. Brendan, get in the bleeding car. I was trying, but I'd left the door open and now I was fumbling, my hands shaking, My camera dropped and forgotten on the ground. The creature was advancing, crossing from the trees to the road, moving with a gait that was neither fully quadrupedal nor fully bipedal but somewhere in between. I got the door open, started to dive inside, and it charged. I made it into the car. Lana didn't. She'd gotten out to help me, to pull me inside faster, and the creature was on her before either of us could react. One moment she was reaching for me, the next she was on the ground, the beast on top of her, and she was screaming. I've never heard anyone scream like that. Pure terror and pain, primal, the sound someone makes when they're certain they're about to die. I don't remember making a conscious decision. I grabbed the tire iron from the back seat and went after it, hitting it across the shoulders, the back, anywhere I could reach. It was like hitting a brick wall. The creature barely reacted, just turned its head to look at me with those intelligent, assessing eyes. Then it grabbed me. One hand, paw, claw, wrapped around my arm and threw me. Actually threw me, like I weighed nothing. I hit the side of the car and went down, dazed and bleeding from where my head had connected with the door frame. Through blurred vision, I saw it return to Lana. Saw it rake claws across her shoulder, her chest. Saw blood, so much blood, black in the headlights. Heard her screaming, then choking, then just small sounds, whimpering. I tried to get up. Couldn't. My head was spinning, my arm wasn't working right. The creature looked at me one more time, seemed to decide I wasn't worth the effort, and disappeared back into the forest. The whole attack lasted maybe 20 seconds. 20 seconds that destroyed Lana's body and destroyed any illusions I had about cryptid investigation being fun or safe or anything other than incredibly dangerous when done by someone too stupid and arrogant to know better. I managed to crawl to Lana. She was conscious, barely, covered in blood. Deep lacerations across her shoulder and chest. Her arm bent at an angle that made me nauseous. But she was alive. Lana, stay with me. I'm calling 911. You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. She tried to speak, couldn't. Just looked at me with eyes that were glazed with shock and pain and something else. Accusation. This is your fault. You did this to me. She was right. I called 911. Gave them our location. Begged them to hurry. Held Lana while we waited for the ambulance. Trying to stop the bleeding with my shirt. Telling her over and over that she was going to be okay. That help was coming, that I was so sorry, so fracking sorry. The ambulance arrived 14 minutes later. Longest 14 minutes of my life. They loaded her, started emergency care right there on the road. One of the EMTs looked at me, at my head wound, my shock, my blood-covered clothes, and asked what happened. An animal. Something attacked us. I don't know what it was. He looked skeptical but didn't press. They had more urgent concerns. As they drove away with Lana, lights flashing and sirens wailing, I sat on the ground next to my car and tried to process what had just happened. My best friend had been mauled by something that shouldn't exist. Because I'd been too stupid and arrogant to stay in the fracking car. Because I'd prioritized getting good footage over keeping us safe. Because I'd treated cryptid investigation like a game instead of the serious, potentially deadly work that it actually is. The police arrived next. More questions I couldn't adequately answer. The wildlife officer they called looked at Lana's injuries, via photos the EMTs had taken, and said they were consistent with a large predator, possibly a bear, though the attack pattern was unusual. They didn't find the creature. They found blood Lana's. They found my dropped camera, destroyed in the attack. They found tracks in the soft ground near the tree line, large, canine-like prints that the wildlife officer said didn't quite match wolves or dogs or coyotes. They told me to leave. The area was potentially dangerous, they said. No shit. I drove back to the motel in a daze. Tried to call Lana's parents. Couldn't find words. Eventually managed to tell them their daughter had been attacked by an animal. Was in surgery. Prognosis unknown. They asked what we'd been doing out there. I told them the truth. Looking for cryptids. Lana's mom started crying. Her dad called me a reckless idiot and hung up. He was right. Day 6. The hospital. Lana survived surgery. That's the good news. The bad news is everything else. Deep lacerations requiring over 200 stitches. Damaged muscles in her shoulder that would require physical therapy and might never fully heal. Broken arm in 2 places. Severe trauma, both physical and psychological. When she woke up and saw me in her hospital room, she didn't speak. Just turned her head away. Lana, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I should have listened to you. Should have stayed in the car. Should have taken the warnings seriously. Get out. Her voice was quiet, raw from the breathing tube they'd had down her throat during surgery. Lana, get out. Get out, Brendan. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. You did this to me. You promised it would be safe and you almost got me killed. Get the hell out of my room. A nurse appeared, asked me to leave. I did. Spent the night in the hospital parking lot, not knowing where else to go, replaying those 20 seconds over and over in my mind. The thing I keep coming back to, it was intelligent. The beast wasn't just a predatory animal acting on instinct. It had assessed the situation, decided I was less of a threat, focused on Lana when she was more vulnerable. When I attacked it, it eliminated me as a threat without killing me. Just enough force to incapacitate. That wasn't animal behavior. That was strategy. That was intelligence, which made it even more terrifying. We hadn't stumbled across a dangerous animal. We'd provoked something that was smart enough to be genuinely threatening. Day 710, the aftermath. The next few days were a blur. Lana's parents arrived and made it clear I wasn't welcome. The police finished their investigation, concluding that we'd been attacked by an unknown large predator. Possibly a bear or wolf, possibly something else. They issued warnings about the area but didn't close it. The local news picked up the story. 2 young adults attacked by unknown creature near Elkhorn. Some people online connected it to the Beast of Bray Road. Others said we were making it up for attention. I tried to visit Lana twice more. Both times she refused to see me. On day 10, she was released from the hospital. Her parents drove her back to Chicago. I never got to say goodbye. I returned to Chicago too, to my expensive apartment paid for by my trust fund, and tried to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do now. My best friend hated me, rightfully. She'd been mauled because of my stupidity. She'd carry scars, physical and psychological, for the rest of her life. And it was my fault. I could quit. Just say Cryptid Investigation was a mistake. Move on. Find some other way to waste my privileged life. That would be the easy choice. Or I could learn from this. Actually learn, not just promise to do better. Learn why experienced researchers like the Thatchers spend years developing their craft before attempting anything dangerous. Learn proper safety protocols, risk assessment, ethical considerations. Learn to respect these creatures and the danger they represent. If I did that, if I really committed to doing this right, maybe I could honor what happened to Lana by ensuring it never happened to anyone else because of carelessness or arrogance. Maybe I could become someone who actually knew what the hell they were doing instead of a rich kid playing at adventure. It was the least I owed her. Epilogue, 3 months later. It's January 2032 now. 3 months since Lana was attacked. 3 months since I learned the hardest lesson of my life. Cryptid Investigation isn't a game, and arrogance gets people hurt. I haven't spoken to Lana. I tried calling twice. Both times she hung up immediately. I don't blame her. I destroyed our friendship along with her sense of safety. That's on me. What I have done is start learning. Actually learning, not the half-assed YouTube education I thought was sufficient. I've been reading everything I can find by serious cryptozoologists. Marion Thatcher's papers on ethical investigation and habitat protection. Michael Thatcher's reports showing how he learned from his mistakes. Other researchers who emphasize safety, preparation, cultural respect, and conservation. I've reached out to some of them very carefully, very humbly. Most ignored me. A few responded, usually to tell me I'm an idiot, fair, and that cryptid investigation isn't for thrill seekers, also fair. One researcher, Dr. Elena Martinez, who studies the night crawlers in California, actually agreed to talk to me. I told her the whole story. Bray Road, Lana, my stupidity, everything. Her response: you fracked up badly, but the question is whether you're willing to put in years of work to learn how to not mess up again. This isn't a hobby. It's not entertainment. If you want to investigate cryptids, You need to treat it like the serious, potentially dangerous scientific work that it is. Can you do that? I think so. I have to try. Then start by actually studying. Not videos, not Wikipedia, actual research. Biology, ecology, field research methodology, safety protocols. Work as an unpaid assistant for established researchers. Learn from people who know what they're doing. And don't attempt another solo investigation until someone with experience tells you you're ready. Years from now, minimum. Years. Years. You want to do this right? That's what it takes. Or you can keep being the rich kid who plays at adventure and gets people hurt. Your choice. It's not really a choice. I've already hurt someone I care about. I can't let that happen again. I've also been writing this report. Not because anyone asked me to, but because I need to document what happened. I need to have a record of my failures so I never forget why I'm doing this work and what happens when you approach it without proper respect. The Beast of Bray Road is real. I have no doubt about that. I saw it, was attacked by it, watched it maul my best friend. It's large, powerful, intelligent, and dangerous. It's also been living in Wisconsin for decades, managing to avoid definitive documentation or serious study. There's a reason for that. It's smart enough to avoid humans, to hunt at times and places where encounters are rare, to remain hidden. We forced an encounter through stupidity and arrogance. We invaded its territory, we were careless, we did everything wrong. The beast responded the way any territorial predator would respond to a perceived threat. That's not the creature's fault. That's mine. What I've learned. I'm writing this section because I need to articulate for myself, for anyone who might read this, for Lana if she ever wants to know, what I've learned from this disaster. 1. Cryptid investigation is not entertainment. It's serious fieldwork involving potentially dangerous, unknown animals. Treating it like a fun adventure is how people get hurt or killed. 2. Equipment doesn't replace knowledge. I had $5,000 worth of gear and zero understanding of how to use it properly or when to prioritize safety over documentation. 3. Warnings exist for a reason. Every local we talked to warned us it was dangerous. Every account we read emphasized the creature's aggression. I dismissed all of it because I thought I knew better. I didn't. 4. Experience matters. Researchers like the Thatchers spend years learning their craft before attempting dangerous investigations. There's no shortcut. You can't skip the boring preparation and jump straight to exciting fieldwork without consequences. 5. Other people aren't accessories to your adventure. I brought Lana into a dangerous situation by minimizing risks and overpromising safety. She trusted me and I betrayed that trust. That's unforgivable. 6. Pride and arrogance get people hurt. Every bad decision I made, getting out of the car, not listening to Lana's concerns, pushing for one more attempt, came from ego. From wanting to prove I could do this, from wanting impressive footage, from wanting to be the guy who documented the Beast of Bray Road. My pride cost Lana her safety and our friendship. 7. Some things are more important than proof. The Thatchers learned this the hard way too. Getting definitive footage or documentation isn't worth someone getting hurt. Safety has to be the priority, always. I'm writing all this down because I never want to forget it. I never want to become complacent or arrogant again. Every time I plan an investigation in the future, if I ever earn the right to conduct investigations, I need to remember Lana's screaming, her blood on the road, the way she looked at me in the hospital. I need to remember that real consequences exist, that this isn't a game, that getting people hurt because of your stupidity is something you have to live with forever. Moving forward, I don't know if I'll ever actually become a legitimate cryptozoologist. Maybe this was my one investigation, and the lesson is that I'm not cut out for this work. Maybe I should find some other way to use my privileged background. Something safer, something that doesn't put other people at risk. But I also feel like I owe it to Lana to learn from this, to take the absolute disaster I created and use it to become better, to ensure that if I ever investigate again, I do it right, with proper training, genuine respect for safety, understanding of real risks, and ethical consideration for both the creatures and the people involved. Dr. Martinez suggested I start by volunteering for habitat conservation work. Learn field skills in controlled environments with experienced supervisors. Develop the physical and practical abilities I'll need before attempting anything involving cryptids. She also suggested I read the Thatchers' early work, not their famous investigations, but the reports where they documented their mistakes and what they learned from them. Apparently, Michael Thatcher spent years learning to overcome his impulsive tendencies and prioritize safety. If he could do that, maybe I can too. I've also been going to therapy. Court-mandated. Initially, Lana's parents considered pressing charges for reckless endangerment, and my lawyer suggested therapy as evidence of taking responsibility. But it's actually helping. Dealing with guilt, learning to separate self-flagellation from genuine growth, understanding why I approached cryptid investigation the way I did. My therapist pointed out that I'm used to things being easy. Rich background, parents who smooth over problems, privilege that insulates me from consequences. Bray Road was the first time in my life I faced consequences I couldn't buy my way out of, couldn't have fixed by someone else. She's right, and that's something I need to continue processing. A message to Lana that I'll never send. I've written this letter 100 times and never sent it, but I'm including it here because I need to say it, even if you never read it. Lana, I know you don't want to hear from me. I know sorry doesn't begin to cover what I did to you, but I need to say it anyway. You were right about everything. Right that we should have been more careful. Right that the warnings mattered. Right that we should have gone home after the first sighting. I dismissed every concern you raised because I was arrogant and stupid and convinced I knew better. I didn't. You did, and you paid the price for my ignorance. I can't undo what happened. I can't give you back the sense of safety I destroyed. Can't erase your scars. Can't make the nightmares go away. I can't fix our friendship or make you not hate me. What I can do, what I am doing, is learning from this. Actually learning, not just saying the right words. Learning why experienced researchers spend years preparing before attempting dangerous investigations. Learning proper safety protocols. Learning to prioritize other people's well-being over my own ego. I'm doing this because I owe it to you. Because the least I can do is ensure no one else gets hurt because of my carelessness. Because if I don't learn from this, then what happened to you was completely meaningless, and I can't accept that. You don't owe me forgiveness. You don't owe me anything. But I want you to know that I'm trying to become someone better than the idiot who took you to Bray Road and almost got you killed. I hope you're healing. I hope physical therapy is helping. I hope the nightmares fade eventually. I hope you find happiness and safety and peace. And I hope that someday, years from now, when I've actually earned the right to call myself a cryptozoologist, you'll hear about my work and know that I finally learned what you tried to teach me that night. That some things are more important than adventure, that safety matters more than proof, that other people's lives are more valuable than your ego. I'm so sorry, Lana, for everything. Brendan. Final thoughts. The Beast of Bray Road is real. It's dangerous. And it should be approached, if it's approached at all, with the kind of respect, preparation, and caution that I completely lacked. I hope someday, when I've spent years learning my craft, I can return to Bray Road. Do it right this time. Document the creature properly from a safe distance with proper protocols and experienced backup. Contribute to scientific understanding while prioritizing safety and conservation. But that's years away. First, I need to become someone capable of that work. Someone who's learned from his catastrophic mistakes. Someone who won't get anyone else hurt because of arrogance and stupidity. I don't know if Lana will ever forgive me. I don't know if I deserve forgiveness. But I know I need to try to be better. Not for redemption, I don't think I get redemption. But because Lana deserved better than what I gave her, and future investigation partners deserve better than what I was. This report is my documentation of failure. My acknowledgement of responsibility. My promise to do better. If you're reading this and thinking about conducting cryptid investigations, don't be me. Don't be the arrogant kid who thinks equipment and enthusiasm are sufficient preparation. Don't dismiss warnings or prioritize footage over safety. Don't treat this work like entertainment. Learn from people who know what they're doing. Spend years developing real skills. Understand that cryptids are real, potentially dangerous creatures that deserve respect. And never, ever prioritize your ego over someone else's safety. I learned that lesson the hardest way possible. Learn it from my mistakes instead of repeating them. The Beast of Bray Road is out there. It's magnificent and terrifying and real, and I'm going to spend years earning the right to study it properly. That's all I can do now. Learn, grow, try to become someone who won't mess up this badly ever again. It's not enough, but it's a start. Brendan Winchester, amateur cryptozoologist. Emphasis on amateur. January 2032. I went to Bray Road thinking cryptid investigation was adventure. I left knowing it's serious, dangerous work that requires years of training and genuine respect. My arrogance got my best friend mauled by something that shouldn't exist. I can't undo that, but I can spend the rest of my life learning to do better. This report is my promise to try. Addendum. 6 months later, July 2032. I'm adding this section because things have changed, and I need to document it. I've spent the last 6 months working as an unpaid field assistant for Dr. Martinez in California. Grunt work, mostly carrying equipment, setting up cameras, data entry, maintaining camp. Nothing exciting, nothing glamorous. Exactly what I needed. She's been teaching me field protocol the right way. How to assess risk. How to prioritize safety. How to observe without disturbing. How to know when to abort an investigation. You're learning, she told me last month. Slowly. But you're actually listening now instead of pretending to listen while planning to do whatever you want anyway. She's right. Bray Road beat the arrogance out of me. Every time I want to take a shortcut or push a little harder, I see Lana's face in the hospital. That's my constant reminder. I also received an email from Lana. It was short. Brendan, my therapist, suggested I write to you. Not because you deserve it, but because I need closure. I'm still angry. I still have nightmares. My shoulder still hurts when it rains. I don't think we'll ever be friends again. But I heard you're working with Dr. Martinez, learning to do this right. That's something. Don't waste it. Don't let what happened to me happen to anyone else. I've read it probably 100 times. It's not forgiveness. It's not reconciliation. But it's acknowledgement that I'm trying. That matters more than I can express. Dr. Martinez has been talking about my next steps. She thinks in another year, maybe 2, I might be ready to assist on actual cryptid investigations. Not lead them. Assist. Learn by watching people who know what they're doing. You'll probably never be as good as the Thatchers, she said. They've been at this for years, and they paid their dues the hard way. But you could become competent, reliable, someone who can contribute to the field without getting people killed. That's the goal now. Not fame, not exciting adventures, not impressive footage. Just competence. The ability to do this work safely and ethically. It's harder than I thought. It requires patience I don't naturally have. Humility that doesn't come easy. Constant self-monitoring to catch myself before I slip into old patterns. But I'm doing it. Day by day, investigation by investigation, as an assistant, not a lead. I'm learning what I should have learned before I ever went to Bray Road. Addendum. 1 year later, October 2032. Today is the 1-year anniversary of Lana's attack. I spent it the way I've spent it in therapy, processing guilt, acknowledging responsibility, trying to separate self-destructive shame from productive growth. I also did something I've been building toward. I returned to Bray Road. Not to investigate. Not alone. I went with Dr. Martinez and 2 other experienced researchers as part of a properly planned, safety-focused observation of the beast. We had protocols, emergency plans, multiple escape routes, and a clear understanding that documentation was secondary to safety. We didn't see the beast. We found tracks, recorded some vocalizations that might have been it, documented the area. Professional, careful, boring work. And it felt right. This is how it should have been done the first time. Standing on that road, near where Lana was attacked, I thought about the difference between who I was a year ago and who I'm becoming. The kid who came here with expensive equipment and no training is gone. What's left is someone still learning, still making mistakes, but at least making different mistakes. Dr. Martinez pulled me aside before we left. How are you feeling? Guilty, but also, okay? Is that allowed? It's allowed. You can carry guilt about what happened while still moving forward. They're not mutually exclusive. We drove away from Bray Road as the sun set. The beast is still out there, still living its life in those woods. Someday, years from now, when I've actually earned it, I might return to study it properly. But for now, I'm content to keep learning, keep growing, keep trying to become someone who won't repeat the mistakes that got Lana hurt. That's enough. That has to be enough. Addendum. 2 years later, October 2033, 2 years since Bray Road. I'm adding this final section because I received something unexpected. A letter from Lana. A real letter, handwritten, mailed to Dr. Martinez's research station where I've been working. She's doing well. Physical therapy has restored most of her shoulder function. The scars are permanent but have faded. She's back in graduate school studying environmental policy, using what happened to motivate advocacy for wildlife corridors and human-wildlife coexistence. I'm turning my trauma into purpose, she wrote, just like you're trying to turn your guilt into competence. Maybe we're both healing in our own ways. The letter ended. I don't think we'll ever be friends again the way we were, but I can acknowledge that you're trying to be better, that you've spent 2 years actually learning instead of just saying you will. That's something. Good luck with your work. Stay safe. Lana. I cried when I read it. Dr. Martinez found me and didn't ask, just made tea and sat with me until I could talk. She's giving you something, Dr. Martinez said finally. Not forgiveness. I don't think that's possible or even necessary. But acknowledgement. Recognition that you're doing the work. Is it enough? Does it need to be? You're not doing this to earn Lana's forgiveness. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Her letter is just confirmation that your effort is visible, that it matters. She's right. I'm not trying to redeem myself in Lana's eyes. I'm trying to become competent enough that I won't hurt anyone else the way I hurt her. 2 years of grunt work, of learning field skills, of studying biology and ecology and research methodology. 2 years of watching experienced researchers and learning from their expertise. 2 years of therapy, growth, and slow, painful development of actual humility. Dr. Martinez thinks I'm almost ready to conduct my own investigation. Not anything dangerous. She's suggesting I start with the Loveland frog in Ohio, a relatively benign cryptid that would test my skills without risking anyone's safety. If you can handle something small and boring competently, she said, then we'll talk about bigger investigations. But Brendan, you'll never be the lead researcher on anything like the Dogman or the Wendigo. Those require decades of experience you don't have. You'll assist, you'll support, you'll contribute. But you won't lead dangerous investigations. Not after Bray Road. I understand, and I'm okay with that. Assisting competent researchers is more valuable than leading as an incompetent one. Good. That's growth. I'm planning the Loveland frog investigation for spring 2034. Small, careful, boring. Everything Bray Road wasn't. Dr. Martinez has agreed to review my protocols before I go. This time I'll do it right. This time no one gets hurt. Final reflection, what Bray Road taught me. It's been over 2 years since that night. 2 years of growth, learning, therapy, and slow transformation from arrogant kid to someone who might be capable of conducting cryptid research responsibly. The Beast of Bray Road is still out there. It's real, it's dangerous, and it deserves respect I didn't give it the first time. Maybe someday, when I've earned it, I'll return and document it properly. But that's years away. Decades, maybe. For now, I'm focused on becoming competent. On learning field skills, safety protocols, ethical considerations. On understanding that cryptozoology isn't about adventure or excitement. It's about careful, patient, often boring work that occasionally yields remarkable results. I think about Lana every day. The scars she carries, physical and psychological, because I was too arrogant to listen to warnings. That guilt doesn't go away, but I'm learning to carry it productively, as motivation to be better, not as self-destructive shame. If you're reading this and thinking about cryptid investigation, learn from my mistakes. Get proper training. Work with experienced researchers. Respect the danger these creatures represent. Never prioritize your ego or your desire for impressive footage over safety. Don't be the person I was at Bray Road. Be better. Be smarter. Be someone who won't get their friends hurt because of arrogance and stupidity. The cryptids are out there. They're real, they're remarkable, and they deserve to be studied properly. But that requires years of preparation, genuine humility, and constant prioritization of safety over ambition. I'm still learning that. Still becoming someone capable of that work. Still trying to honor Lana's suffering by ensuring I never cause similar suffering through carelessness. It's a long road, but I'm walking it. Day by day, investigation by investigation as an assistant, mistake by mistake, smaller ones now. I'm becoming someone who might eventually deserve to call himself a cryptozoologist. Not yet, but someday, if I keep working, if I keep learning, if I never forget what happened when I thought I knew better than everyone else. Bray Road was my catastrophic failure. Everything after has been my attempt to earn the right to try again. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting closer. Brendan Winchester, Field Research Assistant / Amateur Cryptozoologist. October 2033. The Beast of Bray Road taught me that cryptid investigation isn't adventure. It's serious, potentially dangerous work that requires years of training and genuine humility. I learned that lesson by getting my best friend mauled. Now I'm spending years earning the right to investigate properly. This report documents my failure and my slow, painful growth from arrogant kid to someone who might someday be competent. Lana, if you ever read this, I'm trying. I'm really trying. Thank you for acknowledging that it matters. Postscript. A note for future investigators. If you're young, enthusiastic, and convinced that cryptid investigation looks exciting and easy, read this report carefully. Learn from my mistakes instead of repeating them. The Thatchers spent years developing their skills before attempting dangerous investigations. Even they made mistakes that cost them relationships and nearly cost them their lives. If experienced researchers with decades of expertise still face serious risks, what makes you think you can skip the training and jump straight to exciting fieldwork? You can't. I tried. Lana paid the price. Do the boring work. Learn field skills. Study biology and ecology. Work with experienced researchers. Develop genuine humility. Accept that you'll spend years as an assistant before you're ready to lead anything. It's not glamorous. It's often boring. But it's how you avoid getting people hurt. Learn from my catastrophic failure. Be better than I was. And if you ever find yourself thinking, how hard could it be? Stop. Remember this report. And understand that the answer is much harder than you think. And the consequences of getting it wrong are terrible. The cryptids deserve better than careless investigators. The people who work alongside you deserve better than arrogant risk-takers. You deserve better than the guilt of knowing you hurt someone through stupidity. Learn. Grow. Be patient. Do the work right. That's the only lesson worth taking from Bray Road. End of report. The Beast of Bray Road still hunts. Lana still carries scars. And Brendan Winchester is still learning, slowly and painfully, how to approach cryptid investigation with the respect and preparation it requires. Some lessons can only be learned through failure. Some failures are catastrophic. The question is whether you learn from them or repeat them. This is his attempt to learn.